In 1985, the communities of Circle Pines, Centerville, and Lino Lakes formed the Centennial Fire District. Now, nearly 30 years later, the Lino Lakes City Council has voted to withdraw from the fire district.
Lino Lakes wanted a change to the district's governance structure, and after the three cities could not come to an agreement, Lino Lakes has decided to leave the district and start their own fire department. Here's Ben with more.
When the Lino Lakes City Council voted unanimously last Monday night to leave the Centennial Fire District, it set the city on a 2-year path of leaving the district and starting their own department. At the center of the disagreement was a change to the governance structure of the fire district. Lino Lakes wanted to institute a veto system where any one city could stop a proposal and table it for 1 year. The other city councils disagreed.
When it came back from the Fire Steering Committee, it had changed to 4 vetoes, a year apiece. If you take 3 cities, each have vetoes, all of a sudden you have 12 vetoes kind of roaming around. You only meet 3 or 4 times a year. There's never been any big issues. It just seemed like it was bad policy to it would tie the hands of the fire chief to run the department as he needs. So we thought it was a bad idea. Centerville thought it was a bad idea as well. I appreciate Lino Lakes has a different view of it, and that's, I think, why they've decided they want to go on their own.
Currently, all city councils have to approve the fire district's budget, a safeguard put in place to make sure that 2 cities cannot make a large expenditure without agreement from the third city. However, Mayor Jeff Reinert of Lino Lakes still felt that the district was growing and there was a push for more growth.
Right now, a lot of that growth is being subsidized by a grant that the Centennial Fire District received, but that grant does run out, and then so at the end, then there's questions about what to do and how to pay for those things. In the meantime, we may get ourselves into a lot of things that we don't want. So we tried to address these issues on the Fire Steering Committee. We just couldn't get our voice heard, basically, and so we were kind of feeling like all this expansion was happening. Everybody seemed to be for it. We weren't, and the fact that we pay 70% of the bill, we just felt that we needed to have some kind of control over the growth that we weren't really supporting.
Mayor Bartholomew did not see the growth in the same way.
The couple of positions that have been added that have been discussed have been, one is a grant because the county got a grant for doing training county-wide, so that's paid for by the grant. When the grant's done in a couple of years, the position goes away. The other one is that right now the Centennial Fire District does a lot of training for their departments because of its level of professionalism. So that training pays for the other position too. So it really hasn't grown a lot. I think that's kind of a lot of things that get thrown out there when you're trying to figure out what are you going to say is your reason for leaving? And we've, like I say, been trying to figure that out. The amount of taxes that were needed to pay for the fire district this year went down.
Reinert added that while some of the growth in his eyes has been done in small incremental steps, Lino Lakes could see the path the district was on, and they did not want to be on that path.
There seemed to be a lot of these incremental little tiny steps moving forward, taking us down a path that we could eventually see where it was going, and we didn't want to go there. And we weren't getting some open and honest conversation from the other cities about these topics.
Clearly, without having it being said directly, I think something has happened where Lino Lakes just doesn't feel like they're on the same page anymore as we are, as far as where a fire department is, the services it should provide. Something's kind of gone wrong apparently recently, and they've changed their direction, and so they feel like they no longer fit.
Now that Lino Lakes has taken this step, all 3 cities will need to start planning for a future apart. One of the large expenditures for Lino Lakes will be the building of a second fire station for the city, which Mayor Reinert contends would have been done even if they remained in the fire district.
At the end of the day, we're going to have a fire station on the south side, which there should have been one built there years and years ago. So as far as the additional cost for that, we would end up, whether we withdrew from the fire district or not, this is a need that we've had on the south side of Lino and an expense we would have incurred. This is just now, I guess, getting a fire station on the south side that should have been there years ago. Because of that, we're actually going to have an improved level of service for the residents of Lino Lakes.
For Circle Pines and Centerville, they will begin evaluating the future of the fire district.
Certainly if it's just Centerville and Circle Pines at the end, which it was in the beginning, it would be a smaller department. You already have your stations, you have your volunteers, you have your fire trucks and equipment, so there wouldn't be a lot of change there. Obviously, some of your costs could go up if it's just the two of them because you don't have that bigger base to spread it around. But it would kind of do that over the course of a couple of years. The other thing that's interesting though is there are other cities, and we won't be negotiating on television here, but there are other cities that have expressed an interest in joining.
Fresh off a difficult political battle, both Reinert and Bartholomew each thought that their own city would end up better off in terms of the cost to the taxpayers.
We're going to have 2 fire stations that we need to fund and run, and the Centennial Fire District will have 2 stations that they need to fund and run. Currently today, we're spending $600,000. Currently today, the other 2 cities are spending under $300,000. So at the end of the day, we're basically spending, we will have twice the budget that they have to run, the 2 stations that they have and the 2 stations that we have.
We know that for Centerville and Circle Pines, we're looking at possibly either partnering differently with some neighboring communities or some people that might simply want to come in and join. Either one of those things probably lowers our costs, maybe to the same it is now, potentially could be even lower.
Yes, we're going to build a new fire station, but it should have been built years ago. Outfitting the 2 fire stations we have, we will be fine in that regard because we will have the equipment from the Centennial Fire District.
Finally, Mayor Reinert believes that a lot of the concern over the decision is unnecessary and that the new Lino Lakes Fire Department will be a good thing for his city.
A lot of the concerns that people have, I don't think they really should have. It's not something that any of us wanted to do, was to pull away from the fire department and withdraw, but at the end of the day, it's actually going to be good for Lino Lakes residents by having improved service and possibly less cost, but that's still yet to be determined.
All 3 cities will spend the next several months planning the future of their fire service and will begin the process of dividing the assets of the Centennial Fire District. For North Metro TV News, Ben Hale reporting.
When asked about the possibility of rescinding their withdrawal, Mayor Reinert said that any new negotiations on the governance structure would need to happen within the next few weeks, which at this time seems unlikely.